Do you want to become a Dexcom Pro? Well, for us living with diabetes, the holy grail is to manage our blood sugars to the best of our abilities. And if you're using a Dexcom CGM, and if you're not using the Dexcom CGM arrows, like the pros do, then you're really missing out. I haven't really seen a lot of people discuss that here on YouTube, so let me give you a quick guide on how to use the Dexcom arrows to help you manage your blood sugars, because it can really make a difference for your overall diabetes management. I'm Christelle from Diabetes Strong, and I've been living with type 1 diabetes since 1997, and I've been using Dexcom CGM since about 2015, and those sensors have really come a long way. I think it's a brilliant tool. It's a brilliant tool to help you manage your blood sugars, but if you're not using all the features, you're really missing out. So in this video, I'll be telling you all about the Dexcom arrows, what they are, and how to use them. Let's dive in. When you open your Dexcom app or look at your receiver, one of the things that you'll see is your blood sugar, as well as an indication of where your blood sugar will be in 30 minutes. And that indication comes in the form of arrows. If you're looking at your receiver, you'll see your current blood sugar number, and then to the right of that, there'll be an arrow, and that is indicating how your blood sugars are trending. It looks a little different in the app. In the app, you have your current blood sugar in a circle, and around that circle, you have the arrow that indicates how your blood sugars are moving. You can probably guess that an upward arrow means that your blood sugars are rising, a downward arrow means that your blood sugars are dropping, but do you know about how much? And do you know how to include that piece of information into your insulin adjustment? So let's just start with what the arrows actually mean, and here we're going to go to the source, and that is Dexcom. And here we go. These are the arrows that you might see, and basically there's a straight arrow. Just means that your blood sugars are increasing and decreasing very, very little, so less than 1 milligram per deciliter each minute. If you see an arrow slightly upward, slightly downward, as we have here in row 2, that means that your glucose could, not that it will, but that it could increase or decrease 30 to 60 milligrams per deciliter in the next 30 minutes. Next, we have the straight up or straight down arrow, which means that your glucose could increase or decrease 60 to 90 milligrams per deciliter in the next 30 minutes. And finally, we have the increase, decrease, a whole lot line, and that is 2 arrows down or upwards, and that means that your glucose could increase or decrease more than 90 milligrams per deciliter in the next 30 minutes. So let me give you an example, just because I think that makes it a little bit more real. So let's say that I just woke up. So it's morning, I haven't injected any rapid-acting insulin in the last 4+ hours because I've been sleeping. My blood sugar is 120 milligrams per deciliter, that's 6.7 millimole per liter, which is fairly good blood sugar for me. That's where I like to wake up. But let's say now that I look at my Dexcom and I see I have 2 arrows upward. Several reasons why that could happen: hormones, maybe I'm dehydrated, maybe I'm stressed out. There could be a lot of things going on. But let's just say that I had 2 arrows up. What does that mean? Remember that chart I just showed you? That means that my blood sugar could potentially be more than 90 milligrams per deciliter higher in the next 30 minutes. So that's 120, which is my current blood sugar, plus 90, that's 210 milligrams per deciliter. So that is way higher than where I like to have my blood sugars. I like to stay below 160 milligrams per deciliter. So for me, I'm not saying that you have to do this, but for me, that would mean that I would do a correction based off of a 210 milligrams per deciliter blood sugar. Your CGM arrows can be incredibly helpful in helping you manage your blood sugars, but only if you know how to respond to them. I've seen several different medical approaches on how to use the Dexcom arrows for adjusting insulin dosing. They all differ a little bit. However, what all of these medical professionals agree on is that the rise or the fall that the arrows indicate should be included as a consideration when you adjust your insulin doses. One of these approaches was written up and published in the Journal of Endocrine Society back in 2017. That was for adults only though. But I do want to go over that because I do perceive Endocrine Society to be like the golden standard. It's not quite how I do it. So I'll also show you how I use the arrows afterwards. As I said, the guidelines were written for adults, and I also want to point out that they were written for Dexcom G5. We now have G6 and G7, but since there's been no updates to the arrows, I think you can use those for 6 and 7 as well. I also want to point out that, of course, these are guidelines. If in any way in doubt of whether or not this is for you, or even if you're not in doubt, you should still have a conversation with your doctor about how to use the arrows. The Endocrine Society, so their recommendation is that you adjust your blood sugars based on what your blood sugar will be in 30 minutes rather than what it is right now, but not that you calculate your future blood sugars, but rather that you use your correction factor. The correction factor is an indication of how much 1 unit of mealtime or rapid-acting insulin is going to lower your blood sugars. If you use an insulin pump, it should be in your settings. If you use insulin pens and you do not know your correction factor, you should have a conversation with your doctor and just get that ironed out first. Let's have a look. Okay, I know this looks insane, but I'll do a quick example. This way it will hopefully make more sense. So let's just imagine I just rolled out of bed, my blood sugar is 150 milligrams per deciliter, and I have 2 arrows up on my Dexcom. And just to simplify things, let's assume I had no overnight lows and I haven't eaten anything since dinner the night before. If we further assume that I'm not eating right now for whatever reason, I'm trying to simplify things here, I would only have to do 2 calculations. First one would be, how much do I need to correct my current blood sugar? So it's 150. Do I need to make any corrections to that? And the second would be correcting for those 2 arrows up. Let's do that first calculation. Again, my blood sugar is 150 milligrams per deciliter. So my target, so where I want to be, is 100. Okay? So 150 minus 100, that gives us 50. So that means I want to lower my blood sugar 50 milligrams per deciliter. Now I then look at my correction factor. So my correction factor is 50. That means that 1 unit of rapid-acting insulin, also called mealtime insulin, lowers my blood sugar 50 milligrams per deciliter. Okay? So I want to lower my blood sugars down to 100. That's 50. I know that 1 unit of insulin will lower me 50. That means that for correction, just for my current blood sugar, I need 1 unit of insulin. The second correction dose will then have to be calculated based on the arrows. Let's just look at this again. So you see, I had 2 arrows up and my correction factor is 50. So according to the Endocrine Society recommendation, I would need 2.5 to 3.5 unit correction. Me personally, I would probably choose the lower range just to be safe. Let's add that up. So I would need 1 unit to correct my current blood sugar. I would need 2.5 units to correct for the rise that we see in the arrows. So that means my correction would be a total of 3.5 units. Had my blood sugar been lower than my target, so for example, had it been 80 or 90 milligrams per deciliter, I would have ended up with a lower dose. However, had I eaten, I would have to add the dose for the food on top of this calculation. This is a lot of math. So let me just show you a way that I do it with somewhat less math. The Endocrine Society's method makes total sense to me. I think there's a lot of steps, there's a lot of math. And secondly, they only have 0.5 unit recommendations, which can be an issue if you're on an insulin pump. I would much rather use a bolus calculator to help me calculate how much insulin to take for meals and corrections than having to do all of that math in my head every time. If you use an insulin pump, your pump most likely, well, not most likely, your pump has a bolus calculator built into it. If you use MDI, multiple daily injections, like I do, you have to look elsewhere. I use a smart pen, and that comes with a bolus calculator. That smart pen is called an InPen. It's not available outside the US, so let's say the US and you don't want a smart pen, you can't get one, or you're outside the US, well, there are other options, and some of them are actually pretty good. There's some online insulin dosing calculators, such as the Omni insulin dosing calculator. Just type that into Google and it should show up. Now let's take that example that we just used with the Endocrine Society methodology and use a bolus calculator. So remember, blood sugar is 150, there's 2 arrows up, and there's no food or rapid-acting insulin in the system because we haven't eaten since the night before. So what I do is instead of typing in 150 milligrams per deciliter in my bolus calculator, I type in 240. Why 240? Well, remember that chart I showed you up in the beginning saying that 2 arrows up indicates blood sugar is going to rise 90 milligrams per deciliter or more in the next 30 minutes. Again, it's an indication, so you have to also use a little bit of critical thinking, what's going on here. But I would type in the 240 and the calculator would then spit out how much I think I should take in the correction. So what is my correction dose? So for me, it would spit out 2.8 units. And the math is the 240 minus 100 divided by the 50, because again, my correction factor is 50. So again, the recommendation would be to take 2.8 units. Since the minimum dose my insulin pen allows me to give is 0.5 units, I would take that 2.8 and I would round it up to 3 units. That's still 0.5 units less than the Endocrine Society recommendations. So, using the bolus calculator, I find that it's less work, it's less math, and it's usually less insulin. I do want to point out that, again, these are recommendations. Does that mean that I follow them every time? No. You have to apply some critical thinking as well in my experience. So that means, look at why your blood sugar is moving as they are. Does this seem right? And that is how I use the Dexcom arrows. However, I don't stop there. I do have other things that I take into consideration when I calculate my doses. And mainly, that is what I'll be doing the 1 to 4 hours after my insulin dose. For example, if I plan to exercise or just move more than usual, let's say I plan on going for a walk, within the few hours after injecting my insulin, I'll probably not correct as aggressively, as exercise has a tendency to increase your insulin sensitivity and thereby how effective the insulin works. All the recommendations I read, all the guidelines about using Dexcom arrows also states that there are situations where you should absolutely not use the arrows, or at least you should be very, very careful. So by now, I hope you're excited about the Dexcom arrows. I know I am. But if you plan on implementing using the Dexcom arrows, remember to have a conversation with your medical team first and stay tuned because there are some situations where you should not use it. I'll be going over those now. The Endocrine Society recommends not to use the Dexcom arrows in the 4 hours after you've had a meal with an insulin dose. They also recommend a less aggressive dosing adjustment strategy for older or fragile adults, just to lower the risk of low blood sugars. And another thing they mention is sick day and medication considerations. Some medications, even over the counter, can interfere with your Dexcom readings. So if you're sick, if you're taking new medications, they recommend to not rely completely on your Dexcom readings, but do finger sticks occasionally. And finally, use common sense before dosing. As with anything in our diabetes toolkit, nothing should be applied blindly. And if you have a feeling that the recommended dose is wrong, even if that's what your pump or your other diabetes calculator spits out, I find that it's often a good thing to just step back and think it through, and also just rely on your instincts, especially if you've been living with diabetes for a long time. And again, Dexcom is FDA approved as no finger sticks needed. However, even those devices can also be inaccurate. So if something seems off, it probably is. Check out with a finger stick. Check out more ways to optimize your Dexcom here. And please like, subscribe, and comment to this video if you want to see more from me. See you next time.